That's his painkiller. What does it do? Side effects. Makes him what? What? No. What?
That's already clear.
Takes away his time.
Boy, you guys are.
No subsistence.
You are real nice people. Perverts his thinking about women. So he gets here, and what happens? He meets a young lady. She tells him no. He thinks of her as he thinks of her. He becomes a social misfit. If he does have any contact with a woman, the only thing he sees from her is the same way he sees her. Rejection, low self-esteem, on and on. I was working with a young man, still working with a young man, who thinks no girl will like him because he's thin and he's short, and every girl he's tried to talk to has rejected him. So he finds perfect comfort in pornography. And he watches pornography probably 5 to 8 hours a day. And what happens? I have seen this kid go from one extreme of pornography to the other, from one type of pornography all the way to homosexual pornography. And then he sees a girl in school that he likes, but because he's a social misfit, what does she do? She rejects him. Worse and worse. The cycle of addiction is not because I'm a bad person. It's the only thing I can take that deals with my pain. That deals with my pain. Yeah, it has side effects. It deals with my pain. I asked a young lady a long time ago, I used to work with her, her name was Valerie. Valerie was not a very attractive girl. But one day she comes to work and she said she's pregnant. Wow, she's pregnant? Who's the guy? That's not important. I just want to prove to y'all that somebody wanted to have sex with me. I'm not so ugly that everybody rejects me. Now, the guy was not worth mentioning or talking about. But she wanted to prove to the world that I could have sex too, even though I'm not attractive. And when she got to the point where the baby was showing, and everybody had to admit, okay, she is pregnant, she had an abortion. So I was never intending on having a baby. I just wanted to prove to the world that somebody, for at least a while, wanted me. Do you hear that? That's not societal approval, that's pain. This God-sized void in her is crying out, help me. And the world says, well, you're not valued as a person unless somebody wants to sleep with you. People don't take drugs because they want to be drug addicts. They want to deal with their pain. You know what? A lot of pain, what pain is for a lot of people? Nothing left. I've done everything else. I've experienced everything. I've been everywhere. And that's their pain. Life is boring. Life has no more thrill in it. And that's what happens. It becomes a cycle over and over and over again. And they get deeper and deeper. You'll find somebody, they'll go first of all to cigarettes. And then from cigarettes, they'll go to smoking marijuana. From marijuana, they'll go to drinking. And from drinking, they'll go to some other kind of mind-altering state. And so on and so forth. Just because the last thing wasn't enough. That's the cycle of addiction. Turn to Psalm 107. Psalm 107. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord do what? Say so. Whom he redeemed out of the hand of the enemy, and gathered them out of the lands from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south. They wandered in the wilderness in a solitary way. They found no city to dwell in. Get this, verse 5. Hungry and thirsty. What happened? Not their bellies. Not they starved. But when their craved needs were not met, their soul fainted within them. You know how God punished Israel when it asked for meat and didn't want his manna? The Bible says he gave them meat for their bellies, but leanness to their souls. That's what man is. Man without God gets the extravagances that he thinks he wants or thinks he needs. And what happens? His soul dies within him. His self-talk, his self-thought, his self-treasures are not adequate anymore. So what does he have to do? He has to listen to the craving of his body because it gives him a temporary endorphin high. Remember, sin has pleasure for how long? For a season. Sin has pleasure for a season. And that's what happened. Let's admit it. The food tastes good. I know it's doing all this, but it tastes good. Listen, pornography is about masturbation. Feels good. Feels good. Verse 6. Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of the distresses. He led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. Verse 8 is so important. Oh, that men would do what? Would praise the Lord for his goodness, for his wonderful works to the children of man. Verse 9, for he satisfies the longing soul and fills the hungry soul with goodness. You know what we're not selling? He satisfies. And you know what? He abundantly satisfies. He satisfies more than any drug. He satisfies more than any liquor. He satisfies more than any gambling. He satisfies more than pornography. But you know what? The Christ that we're selling is not able to satisfy. Why you say that, Dwight? Because so many Christians are addicted to pornography. So many Christians are addicted to drugs. So many Christians are addicted to gambling and everything else. You know yourselves that there are men in place, even in your assembly, who are not elders by qualification, but because they want power. You don't have to nod and say you're right. I know I am. I've been to too many assemblies. Unqualified men because they're older and had money and wanted power. Couldn't teach their way out of John 3:16. And who suffers? The assembly. And this addiction goes on and on and on and on, and their children stop believing in God because they don't see it lived in their parents' lives. Oh yes, mom wears a head covering in church, but she runs the house at home. Oh, she will look like she's submissive at church, but see if father tries to exert any kind of power. That's why the Jesus we are selling people don't want. Because he's not satisfied. We have been perpetuating addiction among our people because we have lied about what we say we believe. The proof of Christ is not the Bible to the world. The proof of Christ is you. You are the epistle read of all men. People don't know what the Bible is unless they see it lived in you. So at some point, somebody has got to make themselves visible and say, look at me. Paul said, the most arrogant, conceited, self-centered statement I have ever heard. He doesn't say follow Christ. He says follow me. And guess what? You'll get to Christ. You willing to say that? Anybody here willing to say that? Want to say that? Okay, then two things are true about you. You don't want to be discipled, and you're afraid to disciple. Paul didn't say I'm perfect. He says, matter of fact, I'm the least of all saints. I'm the chiefest of sinners. But follow me, and you'll get to Christ. We think that for someone to look at our life, we have to be perfect. No. We have to live a forgiven life. We say that the excellency of the power is not of us, it's of God. We have to live a life and show people that we are not dependent on this cycle. We're not dependent on trying to deal with our pain. The only reason the pain exists in the life of a Christian is because we want it to. Christ has filled that void that doesn't exist anymore. And if you would obey him, you will never feel the cravings of the life. You know why? Because he satisfied the soul. David said this in Psalm 16:11. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In your presence is what? Fullness of joy, and at thy right hand, pleasure evermore. Where is there lack in that? Where is there lack in that? Where is there the need for drugs? Where's the need for gambling? Where's the need for alcohol? Where's the need for power or for food to satisfy your needs? There's none. There's no more excuse there. There's absolutely no excuse. The young men I've had with me on summer trips, multiple summer trips, some of them did suffer or did struggle with pornography. My question to them at the end of the summer was, did you ever have a craving for pornography all summer? No, Dwight, I didn't. Why is that? I said, because you were living a life that works here. Now go do it at home. Go do it at home. One of the guys said to me, he said, Dwight, he says, okay, we're going home. What happens to you? I said, what do you mean what happens to me? When we leave, what do you do? I said, you missed the point, Hip. This is what I do every day. He went, what? I said, what do you think? This is a fantasy? This is what I do every day. This is how I live. You live like this every day? Yes. You think because you're not around, I'm not happy anymore? This is what I do. He says, man, is that what you've been trying to teach us? Yes. Come live my lifestyle. Not for a summer, for the rest of your life. I'm asking you to take on this lifestyle. And you know what? You won't crave it. You won't want it. Get this. You won't need it. Live this life. Addiction is the answer for someone who doesn't have Christ. You know, one thing we don't have up there, that's a big one, probably bigger than all the rest of them, sports. Women says, I don't know what you're talking about. All the guys do. Some guys who have been literally notching off on their arm the days left of football. Can't wait until football season. I know a guy, honestly, he told me quite clearly, if a football game for Georgia Tech is on, I'm not coming to church. He said, Dwight, I'm sorry. I said, why are you apologizing to me? Get on your knees and apologize to God. Try it. Get on your knees and say, God, I'm sorry. If football is more important to you, I dare you to do that. If you're that bold, I dare you to stand before God and say, God, football is more important than you. It's more important than worship. It's more important than the saints. I never say that, but you're doing it. You think God is saying, well, he didn't say it, so I know he doesn't really mean it. No. That's not true. God looks at your life. I ask people this question, and this is all tied up to this addiction thing. I ask people the same question. Everybody, the same question. Whenever they want to sit down and talk to me and get their life, all the knots out of their life, I ask them this question. What do you want? Almost to a person. I don't know. Okay. If I followed you around just 2 weeks, probably less than that, in 2 weeks, I'd see what you want. Because where you give your time, your energy, and your money is what you want. Period.